If you want to overcome life's toughest challenges, you need to understand this. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. It's one of the most powerful realizations I've ever come across, and it has the potential to change your life. Because here's the truth. We all experience pain. It's part of being human. But what if I told you that most of the suffering we go through is something we unknowingly choose? Today, we're going to break down the difference between pain and suffering, uncover why we cling to our struggles, and explore how to keep moving forward when the world refuses to slow down for you. By the end of this, you'll realize something. Number 1. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. We all remember moments of pure joy. Maybe it was the first time you rode a bike without falling, or that beautiful summer afternoon surrounded by people who made life feel perfect. The wind on your face, the sound of laughter echoing, and the unshakable belief that everything was going to be okay. Life has its peaks, moments where happiness feels so certain that you forget anything else exists. But if life were only about these moments, we wouldn't grow. We wouldn't understand the deep truth of being human. Pain is inevitable. Think about the last time life knocked you down. A breakup that shattered you, the loss of someone you love, a rejection letter that made you question your worth. Maybe it was waking up in the morning, realizing you'd have to face another day under the crushing weight of bills, work stress, and unspoken fears. Pain hits all of us, often without warning. It's part of the deal, part of being alive. You can't avoid it, no matter how much you try. Life doesn't care how prepared you are. It throws curveballs when you least expect them. But here's the truth that changes everything. While pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. You can choose to let that pain break you, or you can choose to face it head-on, and this is where most people get stuck. They think feeling pain means they have no power. But suffering comes not from the pain itself, but from the story you tell yourself about it. Why me? I'll never recover from this. Life isn't fair. You replay it over and over, letting it grow roots inside you until it consumes you. That's suffering. Think of someone like Viktor Frankl, a man who endured years in Nazi concentration camps during the Holocaust. He experienced unimaginable pain, starvation, loss, torture. Yet he said, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." If a man in the darkest depths of human suffering could still find the power to choose, what does that say about us? You might feel stuck in your pain right now. Maybe you're going through something that feels endless, like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, but take a moment and breathe. This pain is real, but the suffering you attach to it, that's optional. You don't have to let it define you. You have the power to choose. Number 2, the badge of suffering. Why we cling to pain. Have you ever met someone who talks endlessly about everything they've been through? Every hardship, every betrayal, every wrong that life has dealt them. At first, you feel for them. You see their pain and you understand it. But after a while, you start to wonder, are they still hurting? Or have they chosen to wear their suffering as a badge of honor? Here's the truth. Many people cling to their suffering without even realizing it. They hold on to their pain because it gives them an identity, a reason to be angry, a justification for why their life isn't where they want it to be. If you're always the one who's been through the most, it's easy to excuse why you're stuck. It's easy to say, if you'd been through what I've been through, you'd understand. And while there's no denying that life is unfair, holding on to your suffering doesn't make it better, it makes it heavier. Think back to your own life. Maybe as a child, you fell off your bike and scraped your knee. At first, it hurt so bad you couldn't even cry. But remember what happened next. You got back up, wiped off the dirt and kept riding. Because back then, you didn't care about proving how much it hurt. You just wanted to keep going. So why, as adults, do we get so stuck in our wounds? Why do we keep showing them to people saying, "Look how much I've been through"? Maybe it's because pain feels safe. If you're in pain, you don't have to take risks. You don't have to face the fear of failing again. You can tell yourself that life is too hard and that you're too broken to try. But what if I told you that holding on to your pain is keeping you from living? Imagine carrying a backpack full of bricks, each one a past hurt, a betrayal, a regret. How far could you really go? How much of life would you miss because you were too weighed down to move? Here's something that might hit close to home. Your suffering is not who you are. You're not your heartbreak, your trauma, or your worst day. You're so much more than that. But you have to be willing to put the badge of suffering down. Yes, what happened to you matters. Yes, your pain is valid, but it doesn't have to define you. Don't let it. Take a moment and think about the people you admire most. Are they the ones who constantly talk about how life wronged them? Or are they the ones who faced their pain, accepted it, and moved forward anyway? The ones who turned their struggle into strength. You have that same power inside you, but you have to choose to let go of the suffering you've been holding on to. Number 3. Viktor Frankl's wisdom: choosing your attitude in any circumstance. Imagine waking up one morning and everything you knew, everything you loved, was taken from you. Your family, your home, your freedom, all gone. It's a level of devastation that most of us can't even comprehend. Yet for Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor who spent years in concentration camps, this was his reality. He faced starvation, torture, and the constant shadow of death. And yet, he discovered something profound. No matter what happens to you, no one can take away your ability to choose your attitude. Think about that for a moment. We live in a world where we get upset over traffic jams, slow Wi-Fi, or someone leaving us on read. We let small inconveniences ruin our day. But here was a man who lost everything: his family, his dignity, his freedom, and still found the strength to say, "I choose how I respond." How often do we forget this? When something bad happens, our first instinct is to blame. Blame the person who hurt us. Blame the universe for being unfair. Blame ourselves for not being good enough. We get so stuck in the why me mindset that we forget the one thing we still control: our attitude. No matter how bad things get, you still have a choice. You can let the pain define you, or you can use it to become stronger. Let's get real for a second. Life is hard. There's no way around it. You're going to lose people you love. You're going to face rejection, heartbreak, and disappointment. And when that happens, it's easy to think the world is out to get you. It's easy to sink into anger, bitterness, and self-pity. But here's what Viktor Frankl teaches us. Even in your darkest moments, you still have the power to choose how you see the world. You can choose hope over despair. You can choose action over paralysis. You can choose to keep going, even when every part of you wants to give up. Think about your own life. Maybe you've been through something that left you feeling broken, like the ground was ripped out from under you. Maybe you're there right now, searching for a way to make sense of it all. I'm not going to tell you it's easy. It's not. But the moment you realize that no one, not the people who hurt you, not the circumstances you're facing, can take away your power to choose, everything changes. You stop being a victim of your pain, and you start being the author of your life. You don't have to wait for the world to be kind. You don't have to wait for everything to get better. You just have to decide, how are you going to respond to the pain you're facing? Viktor Frankl answered that question in the darkest place imaginable. And if he could do it, so can you. Number 4. The harsh truth. The world won't wait for you to heal. Remember a time when you wanted the world to stop. just for a moment. Maybe it was after a devastating breakup, the loss of a loved one, or a moment so painful that breathing felt like a task. You wanted life to pause so you could catch your breath, collect yourself, and heal. But it didn't, did it? The sun rose, people went to work, the bills arrived, and time kept moving, indifferent to your pain. That's the harsh truth of life. The world won't wait for you to heal. At first, it sounds cruel. Life moves forward while you're stuck in place, feeling broken, overwhelmed, and unable to keep up. Maybe you've felt that way recently, as though everyone else is getting on with their lives while you're left behind, trying to piece yourself back together. It's not fair, it's not kind, but it's real. Think about this. Time doesn't stop for anyone. While you're grieving, opportunities pass, people move on, responsibilities pile up. And that's not because the world doesn't care about you. It's because life doesn't pause for anyone's pain. It doesn't wait until you feel strong enough to face it. It keeps going, and the longer you wait, the harder it gets to catch up. I remember a time in my life when I learned this lesson the hard way. A breakup had left me completely shattered. I wanted to hide under my blankets, skip work, and just disappear for a while. I thought the world would understand, that life would pause for me to grieve and heal, but it didn't. My emails kept coming, my deadlines didn't disappear. People I relied on still relied on me, and the more I retreated, the harder it became to climb out of the hole I dug for myself. Here's what I realized. Healing doesn't mean stopping life. It means finding a way to keep moving forward, even when you're hurting. Waiting for the pain to disappear, for the world to give you a break, will only leave you further behind. You'll look up one day and wonder how everyone moved forward while you stayed stuck. It's a tough pill to swallow, I know, but the truth is, the world isn't supposed to wait. Life is relentless, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because when you're forced to keep moving, something remarkable happens. You learn to heal in motion. You discover strength you didn't know you had. You realize that pain doesn't have to stop you from living. Think about the most resilient people you know, those who faced unimaginable hardships but still showed up for life. They didn't wait for the perfect moment to heal. They didn't ask the world to pause. They picked themselves up, one step at a time, and kept going. And if they can do it, so can you. The world won't wait for you. But maybe that's a good thing, because it pushes you to rise, to adapt, to grow. You don't have to feel okay to take the next step. You just have to take it. Number 5. Healing happens in motion, not in stasis. When life knocks you down, it's natural to want to stop, to retreat, to sit still until the pain fades away. You tell yourself, once I feel better, I'll get back to work. Once I'm healed, I'll start chasing my goals again. But here's what no one tells you. Waiting to heal keeps you stuck longer than necessary. Healing doesn't happen when you stop moving. It happens in motion. Think back to a time when you were physically injured. Maybe you twisted your ankle or pulled a muscle. At first, you needed to rest, but eventually, the only way to fully recover was to start moving again, slowly, carefully, but consistently. Life is no different. Emotional pain works the same way. The more you sit in your suffering, replaying the same thoughts over and over, the more stuck you become. You can't heal in stasis. Here's what happens when you stop moving. The world keeps spinning without you. Responsibilities pile up, opportunities slip away, and the distance between where you are and where you want to be grows wider. And the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start again. It's like trying to push a car that's been sitting still for years. It takes so much effort just to get it moving. But here's the good news. You don't need to heal completely to start moving. You don't need to feel perfect to take the next step. Maybe you're grieving, maybe you're heartbroken, or maybe life feels like it's falling apart. That's okay. You can still move forward, one small step at a time, even if all you can do today is get out of bed, take a shower, or send that email you've been avoiding. That's progress. That's motion. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who faced unimaginable challenges, said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the very pain that feels like it's holding you back can actually be the thing that pushes you forward if you let it. Think about the challenges you've faced in your life, the moments you thought would break you. You didn't get through them by sitting still, did you? You got through them because you kept moving, because you refused to let the pain win. You're stronger than you think, and the only way to prove that to yourself is to keep going, even when it hurts. Healing doesn't mean erasing the pain. It means learning to carry it as you move forward. It means building yourself back up, piece by piece, step by step, until one day you look back and realize how far you've come. So don't wait for the pain to disappear. Don't wait until you feel ready. Start now and let the healing happen as you move. Number 6. Resilience. Learning to carry pain. Without letting it define you, picture this. You're walking down a road carrying a heavy backpack. Inside it are all the things you've been through, your heartbreaks, your losses, your regrets. At first, the weight feels manageable. But as you keep walking, it gets heavier. You stop moving, convinced you can't go any further. Sound familiar? That backpack is your pain. And most people, without realizing it, let it define them. But what if I told you the weight isn't the problem? The problem is how you're carrying it. You see, resilience isn't about avoiding pain. It's not about pretending it doesn't hurt. It's about learning to carry it in a way that lets you keep moving forward. It's about refusing to let your pain define you. Think about the hardest moment in your life. Maybe it was the death of someone you loved, the betrayal of a friend, or a dream that fell apart. In that moment, it felt like the pain would swallow you whole, that it would become who you are. And maybe, for a while, it did. But you're still here, aren't you? You survived. And that means your pain doesn't have to define you. It can shape you into someone stronger. Look at the most resilient people in history, those who faced unimaginable suffering but didn't let it break them. Viktor Frankl endured the Holocaust. Nelson Mandela spent decades in prison. Oprah Winfrey overcame childhood abuse. These people didn't erase their pain, they carried it with them. But they carried it in a way that allowed them to keep moving, to keep growing, to keep becoming. You have that same power inside you. You can carry your pain without letting it consume you, without letting it become your identity. Yes, what happened to you matters. Yes, it changed you, but it doesn't have to define you. You are not your trauma. You are not your mistakes. You are not your worst moment. You are so much more than that. So the question is, how are you going to carry your pain? Will you let it weigh you down, or will you use it to rise? Resilience isn't about being unbreakable. It's about being unstoppable. It's about saying, "This hurt me, but it won't define me. It won't stop me." Remember this. You can't control the pain life throws at you, but you can control what you do with it. You can carry it with strength, with courage, and with the unwavering belief that you will keep going, no matter what. Number 7. The trap of waiting. Why life won't pause for your struggles. Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a swimming pool. The water looks freezing and you tell yourself, "I'll jump in when I'm ready. I just need a minute." So you stand there, waiting. But the longer you wait, the colder the water seems, the more hesitant you become. Life works the same way. The longer you wait to move forward, the harder it gets. It's so tempting to press pause when life feels too heavy. To say, "I'll deal with this later. I'll chase that dream when I feel better. I'll get back to life when I'm ready." But here's the hard truth. Life doesn't come with a pause button. Time keeps ticking. The opportunities you're waiting for won't wait for you, and the perfect moment you're hoping for, it doesn't exist. Think back to a time when you told yourself, "I'll start when I feel better." Maybe it was after a breakup, a failure, or a loss. Maybe you waited weeks, months, or even years to take that first step. How much time did you lose? How many doors closed while you stood still, hoping the world would slow down for you? It's a painful realization, but one we all need to hear. Waiting for life to pause so you can heal, rebuild, or feel ready is a trap. It keeps you stuck. It convinces you that you're not strong enough to keep moving, not brave enough to face the unknown. But the truth is, you'll never feel 100% ready, and that's okay. Readiness doesn't come from waiting. It comes from moving forward, even when you're scared. Think of the people you admire, those who've faced struggles but still pushed ahead. They didn't wait for life to give them permission. They didn't wait for the pain to disappear. They acted despite their fears, despite their doubts. And that's what made all the difference. Action is the antidote to stagnation. You don't overcome pain by sitting still. You overcome it by refusing to let it stop you. So ask yourself this: what am I waiting for? Am I waiting for the perfect moment, the right mindset, or the pain to magically disappear? Because if you're waiting, life will pass you by. The job you want, the relationship you crave, the dream you've been holding on to, they won't wait for you. You have to go after them now, as you are, with whatever strength you can muster. Life doesn't pause, and neither should you. Don't let the fear of being unready keep you from moving forward. Jump into the water, even if it feels cold. You'll adjust. You'll find your rhythm, and you'll realize that taking action, even imperfect action, is what sets you free. Number 8. Action over avoidance, pushing through the pain. Have you ever sat down with a pile of work to do but felt so overwhelmed that you did nothing? You scrolled on your phone, stared at the wall, or found 100 small distractions to avoid the real task at hand. Why? Because avoidance feels easier in the moment. But here's the irony: avoiding what's hard doesn't make it go away. It makes it worse. Pain works the same way. When life gets hard, it's tempting to avoid it, to bury the pain under distractions, to numb it with Netflix, food, alcohol, or endless scrolling. We tell ourselves, "I'll deal with it later," but later never comes, and the weight of what we're avoiding grows heavier, because avoiding pain doesn't heal it, it magnifies it. Think of it this way: avoiding action is like running from a fire. The flames might seem distant at first, but the longer you run, the bigger and more dangerous the fire becomes. Eventually, it catches up to you, and you're forced to face it head-on, only now it's harder than it ever needed to be. So how do you break free? You act. You push through the discomfort. You take the first step, no matter how small. You face the fire, not because it's easy, but because it's the only way to put it out. I know this isn't easy. When life feels heavy, taking action can seem impossible. You might feel paralyzed, convinced that you're too broken, too tired, or too overwhelmed to move forward. But here's the truth: action creates momentum. When you take even the smallest step, sending an email, making a phone call, getting out of bed, you prove to yourself that you're not powerless. You remind yourself that you're capable of pushing through. Think of the last time you faced something hard and decided to act anyway. Maybe you didn't feel ready, but you did it. And afterward, you felt lighter, didn't you? That's because action doesn't just move you forward. It relieves the weight of avoidance. It gives you control in a situation where everything feels uncontrollable. So whatever you're facing right now, don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait to feel motivated. Take action, even if it's messy, even if it's small, because the only way out of the pain is through it. Avoidance keeps you stuck. Action sets you free. Number 9. The power of Stoicism. Turning obstacles into opportunities. The world can feel like it's against you sometimes. Things don't go as planned, people disappoint you, and life throws curveballs when you least expect them. In those moments, it's easy to feel like a victim, to say, "Why me? Why is this happening?" But here's the truth. The obstacles in your path aren't there to stop you. They're there to shape you. The Stoics, ancient philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Think about that for a second. The very thing you think is holding you back, your pain, your struggles, your setbacks, is actually the path forward. It's not an obstacle, it's an opportunity. Imagine you're driving down a road and suddenly there's a massive boulder blocking your way. Most people would turn around, convinced the road is closed. But what if, instead of turning back, you saw that boulder as a challenge? You climb over it. You find a way around it. You learn something new in the process. And by the time you get to the other side, you're stronger, smarter, and more resilient than you were before. Life works the same way. Every challenge you face is a chance to grow. That heartbreak that shattered you, it taught you how to love yourself. That failure that embarrassed you, it taught you how to work harder, smarter, and better next time. The people who betrayed you, they taught you who to trust and who to walk away from. Your obstacles are not in the way, they are the way. The Stoics believed that we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. You can choose to see your struggles as roadblocks, or you can choose to see them as opportunities. Opportunities to learn, to grow, and to prove to yourself just how strong you are. Think of the most successful, resilient people you know. They didn't get where they are because life was easy. They got there because they turned their obstacles into stepping stones. They didn't say, "Why me?" They said, "What can I learn from this?" That's the power of Stoicism. It shifts your mindset from victimhood to empowerment. From "this is happening to me" to "this is happening for me." So the next time life throws an obstacle in your path, remember, it's not here to stop you, it's here to strengthen you. What stands in your way can become the way, if you choose to see it that way. Number 10. Thriving through tough times. Keep moving, keep rising. There's a moment in everyone's life when they feel like they've hit rock bottom. Maybe you've been there already. Maybe you're there right now. It feels like the world is closing in on you, like no matter what you do, you can't catch a break. The weight of it all is so heavy that just getting out of bed feels impossible. And here's what makes it even harder. Life doesn't stop to let you catch your breath. But here's the thing no one tells you. Your lowest moments are where the most powerful version of you is born. It doesn't feel that way at first. It feels like you're drowning, like the pain will consume you. But what if I told you that the person you're becoming, the strongest, most resilient version of you, can only be shaped through the fire of those tough times? Think about it. Every great success story begins with struggle. Every hero you've ever admired has been knocked down, beaten up, and left to wonder if they'd ever rise again. But they didn't stop there. They didn't let their pain define them. They turned it into fuel. And so can you. Maybe you've lost someone you loved, and the grief feels unbearable. Maybe you've failed so hard that you don't know how to start again. Maybe life blindsided you with something you didn't see coming, and you're still picking up the pieces. It's okay to feel that. It's okay to sit with your pain for a moment. But don't stay there. You're not meant to live in that place forever. Because here's the truth. Life owes you nothing. It won't hand you a break. It won't make things easier, and it won't wait for you to feel ready. But you don't need life to go easy on you. You need to get tougher. You need to rise no matter how hard it feels. Even if you have to crawl forward an inch at a time, you keep moving. Let me take you back to a moment in your own life when you thought you wouldn't make it. Maybe it was a heartbreak, a failure, or a loss that knocked you to the ground. Remember how hard it was, how certain you were that you couldn't take another step. But you did. You got through it. And here you are, stronger than you were before, whether you realize it or not. That's proof that you're more resilient than you think. You've survived 100% of your worst days so far, and you'll survive this one too. The difference between people who crumble under pressure and those who thrive through it isn't luck or talent. It's their mindset. The people who thrive understand that pain is part of life, but it doesn't have to stop them. They refuse to let tough times break them. Instead, they let those moments build them. They know that every setback is an opportunity to rise higher, to become someone stronger, wiser, and more unshakable than they were before. It's not about avoiding the storm. It's about learning to stand tall in the middle of it. When the winds of life try to knock you down, you plant your feet and say, "I will not break." When life gets harder, you get tougher. You learn to carry the weight of your struggles, not as a burden, but as proof of your strength. Because every time you keep moving forward, no matter how much it hurts, you're showing the world and yourself what you're capable of. So when life pushes you to your limits, don't sink into the pain. Rise from it. Push back, move forward, and keep rising, even when it feels impossible. Because the truth is, you are capable of so much more than you realize. You are stronger than the circumstances trying to break you. The only way you lose is if you stop moving. The only way life wins is if you give up. And I promise you, you've come too far to give up now. When the days feel heavy, when it feels like you can't take another step, remember this. You don't have to move fast. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep going. Keep showing up for yourself. Keep pushing forward. Keep rising. Because one day you'll look back on these tough times and you'll see them for what they really are, the moments that made you unbreakable. Keep moving, keep rising, and don't let anything stop you. Drop 100 if you've watched this far, because it shows you're part of the 0.01% who actually finish what they start. You've just taken the first step toward shifting your mindset and truly taking control of your life. Remember, pain will come. It's unavoidable. But how you choose to handle that pain, that's entirely in your hands. The choice to stop suffering, to keep moving forward, and to rise stronger every time life knocks you down is yours. Life doesn't stop, and neither should you. If you're serious about creating lasting change, don't let this moment be the last. Hit that subscribe button to join our community and make sure you're always equipped with the mindset to thrive, no matter what life throws your way. You've got everything you need to not just survive, but thrive. So let's keep moving forward together.